next up, I would like to introduce Nilima Parakala, who will be presenting Efficient Network Automation with Nornir and Napalm. Nilima is a technical marketing engineer at Cisco, focusing on service provider products and network automation tools. Her first time presenting at NANOG, Nilima traveled from Dallas, Texas, and it's a pleasure to have her speaking with us today. Welcome, Nilima.
Thanks for the introduction, Kat. This is my first time at NANOG and I'm excited to be here. And I'm glad to see all the network engineers in the room. I know you deal with the network devices in your day-to-day life. And at some point of time, you might have wondered how to manage the device configurational and operational data of multiple devices efficiently in a given maintenance window. Well, here is one of the solutions for you. Today, I'm here to give you an overview of efficient network automation with Nornir and Napalm. So in this session, you'll get an overview of what, why, and how about Napalm Automation Python Library and Nornir Automation Framework. And then I'll tell you how to execute the Napalm APIs using the Nornir framework. And finally, I'll give you a demo on how to execute it. So before I get started, I want you all to listen carefully because I'll be asking you questions in between my presentation. Are you all ready? Okay, I'm just kidding. So let's get started. What is Napalm? Napalm is a vendor-neutral automation Python library which provides a set of APIs to do the configuration or to manage the configuration and operational data of your network devices. And it is expanded as network automation and programmability abstraction layer with multi-vendor support. That means it basically provides multi-vendor support like the multiple vendors are Cisco IOS-XR, iOS, NX-OS, JunOS, and Arista EOS. So to learn more platforms supported by this community, you can just check out this link on this slide. So why should you even use Napalm? So let's consider in your field you have like thousands of different vendor devices, like thousands of iOS-XR, iOS, NX-OS, JunOS, EOS, etc. And you are given a task to push some huge configuration onto these devices in a given maintenance window. So what are you going to do? When there is no Napalm, you have to assign a different network engineer for different platforms, and these network engineers are going to explore the available automation tools. So there are automation tools for the respective operating systems. So you have to explore it, you have to understand how it is working, then you have to write a code, and then use that code to automate the configuration on all the specific platforms. Instead, you can just have one network engineer, you use Napalm, and Napalm supports multi-vendors, so you can just understand Napalm, write a single code, use a single code to execute on multiple vendors and configure all the devices. So why is it important? Firstly, it's open source. It has around 90 contributors, 30 releases, and 4,200 commits. It has an active community. So if you face any issues or any bugs, you can just log the bugs over there. Community will reach out to you, they'll fix the issues, and you can get the recent code and execute it. And it provides multiple vendor support. It's easy to install and use. It's completely written in Python. As it is open source, you can get the code, write your own code on top of it so that you can customize it based on your requirement. And it has well-maintained documentation. And most importantly, it's free. So who says no to the free stuff, right? Yesterday only we had beer and gear, so yeah. So how does it work? It works based on the concept of abstraction and inheritance. Abstraction is Basically, what NAPALM does is, it has a base class with all the abstracted APIs. So these abstracted APIs are implemented by the drivers, the multiple drivers, and the implementation is specific to the platform. So what you're seeing here is the APIs are going to be same across the vendors, and the input arguments or the output structure is going to be the same. So that is the benefit of NAPALM. So if you see here, the output of get facts, you have different APIs in NAPALM. This is the output of get facts. Basically, facts means it provides the basic information of the devices. So here we have uptime of the device, vendor, host name, FQDN, OS version, serial number, model, and interfaces list. This output is across all different vendors, and you can see the structure is the same. The keys are highlighted, the keys are going to be same, but the values are specific to the operating system. Well, let's understand what are the different APIs NAPALM provides to you. It has configuration data management APIs, where you can load the configuration, you can replace the candidate configuration or merge the candidate configuration, and then after loading the config, you can compare the changes between the candidate and the running, and if you're good with the changes, you can just go and commit the changes, or if you're not good, you can go and discard the changes, or if you've already committed it, you can always roll back to the previous commit. And these are the different operational data management APIs available for you, like get facts. You can retrieve the information like facts, interfaces, BGP information, BGP neighbors, SNMP, LLDP, NTP, and firewalls, users, the whole configuration, the props, etc. You also have CLI API, which allows you to get the output of show commands and ping to get the output of the reachability of a destination address. So it has so many features. How to use it? It's very simple. Just install NAPALM using the pip Python package and write a simple code to retrieve the data from the device or to load the data to the device. Here you can see there's a basic code available. Here I'm actually retrieving the interfaces from a device. So you can write any complicated code so that you can make your job easy. I'm just showing a very basic example. So I have imported get network driver from the NAPALM, and I've provided the driver. You can provide any driver name like iOS-XR, iOS, NX-OS, or EOS, JunOS, etc. And to this driver, just provide the credentials of the device, the hostname, username, password, and the port number, and then call open. Once you call open, it logs into the device using the credentials provided in the previous step. Then once you call get interfaces or any getter from the NAPALM, it's going to return a dictionary with all the details of what you're retrieving. And you can see the right side, there is the output of interface details. So this output is going to be similar for all the different vendors, but the data will be specific to the device. Well, I hope you got a basic understanding about NAPALM, how to use it, and why is it important. Let's understand what is Nornir. Nornir is a network automation framework that abstracts the inventory and task execution, and it automates your network task very efficiently because it is multi-threaded. So it creates multiple threads in order to execute tasks on the different hosts. Why is it important? It's important for the same reasons as NAPALM. On top of it, it's multi-threaded and it has inventory management feature. Well, it's open source, so you can always develop features on top of it. and customize it accordingly. It's completely written in Python, so it's easy to use, install, and you can also integrate other Python frameworks into it. And it also reuses few existing libraries like NetMako, NAPALM to connect and manage the devices. It uses multi-threading, so it greatly optimizes the time taken to execute tasks on all the hosts. Well, how does it work? It basically works with the collection of hosts. It provides a benefit of using inventory management separately. You can manage the inventory separately, and then you can create a configuration file where you can provide how many threads you want to create, and then the main file, the Nornir main file, make use of this configuration and execute the tasks on the given inventory management. So how to use this framework? You have to just install Nornir and install the Nornir plugins called Nornir Utilities. It provides plugins like inventory, functions, processes, and tasks. Then once you have all the packages, you have to create the inventory files, the YAML files. Here you can see the hosts, groups, and defaults YAML files. In order to understand the structure of these inventory files, you can write this code. You can see it, the Python code. You can retrieve the schema of these hosts, groups, and defaults, and execute this Python code, and you can check out the structure of it. Okay, now I hope the basic understanding of Nornir you got, and basically NAPALM is multi-vendor support, and Nornir is multi-threaded, and it also helps to manage the inventory efficiently. So now let's see how to execute these NAPALM APIs, which we have discussed in the earlier slides, to execute it using this Nornir framework. In order to do that, you have to first install the Nornir NAPALM plugin, the plugin of Nornir, and then create an inventory folder. Into it, just have this inventory files, host.yaml, groups.yaml, and defaults.yaml. Basically, here you can see the host.yaml file with the host information, the router information, the host name, and which platform is it, either iOS-XR, EOS, JunOS, iOS, etc. And you can also define the host details as like the router 3, how I mentioned, the host name, platform, username, and password. You can declare all the details in the host.yaml itself if you don't want to use the groups and defaults in files. But if you want to use them, the groups is used to manage the platform details of the devices, and default is used to manage the authentication of these hosts. If all the hosts have same authentication information, username and password, then just provide those information in defaults.yaml file. So after you're done with the inventory files, just create a config file. Here, config file provides the inventory file location to the main file, to the Nornir main file. And you also have runner section. Here you can assign threaded in the plugin. If you assign it as threaded, then you can provide the number of workers is going to be number of threads it's going to create. So if it is threaded, and if you want to set up how many threads it has to create, then you can just give a number. I have given number as 2. But if you don't give any number, then it's going to default it to 20. It's going to create 20 threads. But if you have any issues, you want to debug something while executing this, you can just convert plugin to the serialized. So when you do that, the thread, only one thread is going to get created, and the configuration of the tasks will be executed on these hosts in a serialized manner. In that way, you can figure out the issues or debug the issues. Now, once you're done with the configuration file, just create a Nornir.main file. So here just initialize the Nornir and provide the config file, and this config file should be in the same location where the main file is, and then execute this Nornir providing the task and the specific getter. So task is going to be the NAPALM task like NAPALM get, CLI, configuration or validation, and then getters, whichever task you provide, its respective API should be provided here, the API name like facts, interfaces, etc. And then once you print the result, it is going to return the details of the task, the resultant of the task executed for every router, router 1 and router 2. So here you have Nornir Napalm plugins. You have different Napalm plugins like Napalm CLI to execute the show commands, and configure to load or merge the configuration. Get is to execute the getters of Napalm, and ping is to execute the ping API of Napalm, and Napalm validate is to validate the running configuration of the device with the user input configuration. Now let's get into the demo. Let's see how you can execute it. Firstly, if you want to get started, just create a virtual environment. So here I have created Nornir Napalm virtual environment, and these are my versions, Python version, and you can see the pip list. I have installed Nornir Napalm, NetMiko, utilities, and Napalm. So once you're all set up with this virtual environment, we are creating virtual environment because you don't want to interrupt the existing environment, and you have to create an inventory folder. As you see here, I have created an inventory folder, and it has all the inventory files, host.yaml, groups.yaml, and defaults.yaml with all the host information which we have seen in the previous slide. So once that is done, you can go and create a config file, config.yaml file, and this helps to provide the inventory information to the main file, the inventory location, and the runner if you wanted it to execute in a multi-threaded fashion or in a serialized mode. Then let's see how we can execute multiple Napalm tasks using Nornir. As we have seen previously in the slide, we have to just initialize the Nornir, and you can create multiple tasks at a time. Napalm CLI, Napalm configure, Napalm get, and then execute these multiple tasks, provide that function in the task and execute it. It is going to create 2 threads because I have only 2 routers in my host.yaml file, and these 2 threads take care of each host separately and execute all those multiple tasks. So you can see this is the output. When there's a configuration change, it says that there's some change happened in this router, and this is the show version of the device. So this is get facts and the interfaces list. So this is how the output is going to look. It is going to provide the output of all the routers at a time instead of returning the output in a serialized manner. And now let's see how to execute multiple Napalm getters. You can also provide multiple getters in the list, like here. Have provided task is Napalm get, and the getters are facts, users, interfaces. You can just add on to it and then execute it. And you're going to get the output of the users and the get facts of 2 routers separately. So this is how the output is going to look like. So now you have so many hosts in your host.yaml file, and you don't want to execute some tasks on every router, then you can always go and use filters These filters help you to execute these tasks on a specific router. So here is the filter, you have Nornir filter, and provide the name of the router which you want to execute it on, instead of executing in all the routers the host file contains. And then provide all the configuration, all the tasks, just define all the tasks in this way. And then execute it. It is going to execute the task only on that one specific router. So how many of you know Python here? Okay, great, nice, good to know. So this is how it's going to return the output. So that's all with my session, and today we have learned what is NAPALM, what is the benefits of NAPALM. Its main feature is vendor neutral and open source. It's free to use, and Nornir provides the inventory management and concurrency, the multi-threaded feature. So it's great to use. If you get a chance, please go ahead and try it out. These are the different resources, you can check it out. And if you want to quick start with the Nornir NAPALM, please check out this Nornir overview blog, which I have written it, and it has step-by-step details on how to get started, install it, and execute your tasks. And thank you so much for your time. I really enjoyed presenting it to you. And special thanks to Jeff, who helped me out during the process from the PC team, and Valerie. Thank you so much. I'm good to take questions now, if you have any.
Hi, Chris Woodfield with Twitter. How would you compare Nornir to other popular config management fleet coordination tools such as Ansible?
Ansible. It doesn't have Python coding. I think you have to write some instructions in it. So I'm not going to say anything about Ansible because it's up to you. Like where is your comfort? You can go for it. If you're comfortable with the Nornir, or because it provides like concurrency, multi-threading, and you can also manage the inventory separately. So then you can go for this. If you don't want to get into Python coding, then you can come up with some instructions written on it and use Ansible. So it's up to you how you want to use it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, thank you.